But no, and he's dead too now.
Randy
Jesus
Macho
Christ,
Man
they're all
Seth.
dead.
Snap into a seatbelt.
He snapped into the grave. But I mean, these people are some of these people you see on the freeway on ramps and off ramps. I like to help them out because most of them look just beat to shit, and so we'll stop and give them money. But I always tell Elizabeth, look at their shoes. If they're wearing new shoes, don't give them a fucking cent. Because if they can afford new shoes, they don't need to be standing on a street corner. I really believe that.
And smoking? Yeah. Cause
Well,
how
that's
much are
just a
cigarettes?
personal preference. But
Well, yeah, but if it's how much is a pack of cigarettes?
$10 a pack.
Between $5
Is
and
it
$10.
really?
Yeah, cigarettes.
Jesus
lowest, like
Christ.
if you're smoking more cigarettes, it's like $5.
Wow. We should be selling
Dorals.
cigarettes. Forget the radio. Let's open a cigarette
you know what?
store.
Let's get a cigarette sponsor for Joe McDonnell Uncensored.
That's
Let's
right.
Do it.
We'll do it right from there.
Joe McDonnell Uncensored brought to you by Doral Cigarettes.
Yeah, come and see an ass while you're getting your butt.
Yeah, smooth taste, and it hits my T-zone.
Yeah, there you go.
You remember those old cigarette commercials where
Oh,
they tell you
yeah.
how it really is silky smooth? on my
Lucky Strike, LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Yeah.
No, Lucky Strike means you're going to die a terrible fucking death.
A long, slow one.
Yeah.
When I see the homeless people, now that I've sort of rededicated myself to being a part of a parish that is super active with the homeless community, so I can actually, okay, good. I can look a guy in the eye and go, hey man, you should go over to St. Monica's. And they'll always go like, oh, okay. Like they're not used to somebody going, no, this ain't going to work right here.
Yeah.
If you go to St. Monica's, you got it. So then I don't feel bad gaslighting them.
No, I think, we always talk about, and politicians are especially guilty of it, talking about helping people in other countries. You know what? That's great. I mean, it really is. But we have so many people over here who need help first that it drives me crazy.
Me too.
You got to take care of your own people first. Get our people off the street, then we'll start worrying about other people. There's no reason we can't help both, but the focus needs to be on our people here in America.
Chicago schools are in their second week of not going to school because of the fucking teachers union in Chicago, and I'm supposed to build a well in Uganda?
Yeah.
Let's get the fucking kids books in Compton. Let's pay teachers based on merit, not, whatever.
I've never understood it, and I never understood, these people who have the ability to make it happen. It's like it's all talk, and then when the time comes for them to do something, they don't do shit about it.
When I drive through downtown LA, and when I was in San Francisco, it's like Night of the Living Dead when you go to like Union Square.
We were just up there.
Oh my God. And I looked at and Gavin Newsom's one of our favorite politicians, up and coming guys.
Yep.
And I said to my wife, how can you be mayor of this town and drive to anything and pass all these people on the street and then say anything about anything without going, I know we got a press conference, but holy shit, did you see the fucking zombies out there?
Yep.
Like, clean it up. I don't know.
That's what Kobe said. That's why he got involved. He said one night he was driving home from a game, and he said he just happened to see a whole bunch of people out in the street. And he had no idea what was going on just miles from Staples Center. He said, this is where I work. He said, I'm down here a lot. He said, I had no idea this was happening. So he started doing research in it. And he ended up hooking up with my friend's place in Hollywood and a couple other places. And really started donating. He's building, shelters and donating food and clothes and rebuilding some of the centers and stuff like that. And, that's what it's really good to see him, because a lot of these guys who have such a tremendous amount of money and want to do something good with it, man, help the people out who don't have homes. God almighty. Homes and food. I mean, that's just a basic requirement to live.
A lot of people, the devil's advocate of what you just said is they go, well, if they weren't doing drugs, then they wouldn't be homeless. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, all it takes is a month too late bipolar diagnosis. Like, that's the difference between me, you, and the guy holding a sign on Venice Beach saying, like, why lie? I need a beer. Like the guy with the good sign.
Hey, if we don't get this podcast going, I'll be there. So
you're going to get it going. By the way, I got to say, we pulled up your Joe McDonnell.
Jesus.
You're going to like this a lot. We pulled you up. We do Sorry.
Oh, God, I
we
can
do a
imagine
bio.
where this
no,
is
listen.
going.
We do a bio of each guest, so everyone's fresh and we know what's. And I know you from a long. I got a lot of stuff I want to ask you about, but Matthew hands me the Joe McDonald bio, and it says Joe McDonald (parentheses hunger striker).
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Bio. McDonald was born on Slate Street, Lower Falls Road of Belfast. I didn't know that about you. Roman Catholic
Back
school.
from the dead.
You were arrested in Operation Demetrius and interned on the prison ship HMS Maidstone along with Jerry Adams. So I didn't know you were so involved with
Jerry
Ireland
Adams, Bobby Sands, all those guys.
and the Troubles. I didn't know you were down with the IRA, man.
I also died.
I didn't read that far.
Yeah, I died. I'm a hunger striker. You can go on the air. The Joe McDonnell and the Wolf Tones. He was a musician. The group, the Wolf Tones, put together songs about him. He was a hunger striker, an Irish hunger striker, and he died. And I cannot tell you how many of my stupid friends called me early in the morning because it's just on the radio. Joe McDonnell died, and they're like, I answer the phone. They go, "You're not dead." I said, "Well, you're a fucking genius." I said, "Why would I be dead?" "Well, they said on the radio, Joe McDonnell died." I said, "That's the Irish hunger guy." I said, "Do I look like I'm going to die of starvation?" No.
You're on your way. I mean, you lost more weight. You lost more weight than the other Joe McDonald ever did.
Yeah.
You lost 4 Joe McDonald.
I lost him.
That pussy probably lost. Let's just keep speaking ill of the dead. That pussy probably lost 80 pounds, and then his fucking heart stopped. How much did you lose?
About 460.
Scoreboard, other Joe McDonald.
Yeah, but if I didn't lose it, my heart was going to stop from not losing it. So.
You know, Riz, he's laying in a grave next to Bo Diaz, arguing about who has the best satellite dish.
With Nino Espinosa.
Fucking bunch of a-holes. Dead a-holes.
Well, but no, the other Joe McDonnell, he was actually a really good guy.
He's buried next to Bobby Sands.
Is he really?
That's what it says here.
Yeah. No, they were good people. Hey, they gave up their lives for a cause. That's pretty impressive. I wouldn't fucking do it.
I wouldn't do it either.
Fuck no. There's a limit to my generosity.
People go like, I would die for my family. I'm like,
Depends which ones.
I would, I'd give it I'd swing for the fences. You were named Sports Talk Host of the Decade by the Daily News.
I was.
Which decade?
2000.
Really?
Yeah.
How come I didn't know this? Because you don't toot your own horn?
No, I really don't. I'm not one of these self-promoting people, and that's probably my biggest flaw as a person who's in the entertainment business. I just don't get out there and say who I am. Because you know what? To me, it doesn't matter.
That's not the media's job. The media's job is to be a conduit between me in my home reading the newspaper.
Yeah, but not as a talk show host. It's not. That's the different thing. As being a reporter. And what I'm doing for Fox Sports West right now, covering the teams and doing interviews and features and stuff, that is, straight reporting. What I did as a radio talk show host, I never took the opportunity to build my own, brand or character. I just kind of liked what I was doing, but once I went home, I didn't give a fuck about that job anymore.
You didn't want to be John Ireland?
No, I didn't want to be any of those people, Petros and Money and all these people who, they're out there promoting themselves constantly all day long. I just didn't care. I liked having my own private life. I really did. Now, after everything I've been through, I'm a little older now. I've had it taken away from me for a while. I'll do anything now to get my last run in, do it the way I want to do it, and then tell them all to go fuck off.
Why were you fired from 1150?
Because they brought in a program director who didn't like the fact that I had reporting ability. The very first meeting we have as a staff, very first thing he says to the group, and he looks at me, he says, any talk show host who calls themselves a journalist, they're not going to be here very long. That was his first word, and I wasn't there very long. I got fired with 7 months left on my contract. So I got a boatload of money to leave, which was great.
Oh, good.
Except the prick fired me in the middle of the street in Westwood after a remote.
What was the remote?
It was at Blimpies.
which is perfect for you at the time.
Well, yeah, it was
700
fun,
pounds.
yeah.
Like, all right, I'll just go back to the
Blimp
Blimpies.
got fired in front of Blimpies.
I'm gonna drown my sorrows in this chicken parmesan sub scoreboard. I win again. Give me my money, you asshole.
No, the thing is, he weighed about 400 pounds.
Will
and he
you
was
punch
about
my
3
card?
feet
I'm on my
tall.
11th sandwich.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like that one took a while to get over. The first time you get fired is like, wow.
Well, what is his end game of not wanting anybody that's also a journalist on the air?
I don't know, because he tried to hire me back right before he got fired.
But what I'm asking you is, when he came in and made that declaration, what do you think went through his head where he didn't, like, that was his stance? Like a baseball manager comes in.
Yeah, because he thought you had to be just basically an imbecile to be a talk show host.
A big personality?
Yeah, and not have any substance, and you say whatever you say.
So it's the most short-sighted view, not realizing that somebody who's also a journalist will get you way more interviews.
And you can do both.
Yeah.
There's no reason you can't do both. I'm a pretty funny guy. I can entertain. I've done shows by myself that have gotten great ratings at ESPN. Our ratings, when I left ESPN, we couldn't come to a contract agreement. I got paid 3 ratings bonuses going out the door.
That was a really good show, Joe Mcdonnell Experience on ESPN. I remember the opening song, E.S. Joe Mcdonnell to Joe Mcdonnell. You could not be any more wrong. You could not be any more wrong. And then Don King, I love Big Joe. I love Big Joe.
Yeah.
It was a techno song.
Yeah,
and it was you and Doug. And what was the disagreement? Like how?
Money. Strictly came down to money.
You as a guy, was it your ego that you said, I need to be paid this to satisfy? Because your nuts covered. You could pay for your house and your car with what you were making, I'm guessing, to begin with.
Oh, yeah. I was able to save a lot of money.
In hindsight, do you wish you could have just worked for less what they offered?
No. I'll tell you why. I was making $200,000 a year.
That's, by the way, for the listener, that's extraordinary for an AM sports talk radio host.
Yeah, for a local show, absolutely. Yeah. And I had an agent who, it was a mistake. My agent quit to go into another business, and so he handed me off to this guy he was a TV agent. And I told him, I said, look, ask for 300 and hope you get 225. I wasn't looking to bust the walls down. I just wanted a little bit of a raise to show that there was some respect.
Sure.
I was also the assistant program director of the station as well.
At ESPN?
Yeah, not just... So I was doing 2 jobs basically for the price of one.
Who else was on that network? Who was on before you?
Mason and Ireland.
They were on before you.
Yeah, and that was it. There was only a couple of shows on at the time.
Okay.
And I told him, so he goes in and asks for $400,000. And I'm like, what did you just do? And he said, well, I thought if I went a little higher, you'd get a little more. I said, look, I know these people. I know what they're going to offer me. And they're not going to ever pay anything close to what you think they are. I said, as long as I get a little raise and a 5% raise each year like I had in the first contract, right. I said, I'm fine with it. I got no problem.
What do you think Doug was making?
Doug was fired by this time already.
But when he was up and running, a can of Spam and a bucket of chicken?
80. 75, 80, whatever the after minimum was. He was making a little, maybe a little bit more than that.
Come on, Joe.
But then it got to the point, and I told the general manager that said, look, I'll make the final decision. You come to me with your final offer. So here's how low down these pricks were. The Angels were playing the Red Sox in a playoff game in 2005. They asked me to come in early to do the show and lead into the Angel game. So I did, fine, no problem. They said, before the show started, they said to me, can you come in the office afterwards? We got your contract ready. And I'm like, yeah. So I called Elizabeth. I said, I'm getting fired today, or we're not going to, they're not going to give me a contract. And I told her what happened. And she said, well, they just told you you're going to. I said, no, I know they're not going to come up with anything. So after the show, I go walking down there, and I go into the general manager's office, and he says, we've decided to go in a different direction. We're not going to renew your contract. I said, okay, when do I get my severance pay? And I just got up and walked out, and I walked by her desk and just went with the slash across the throat, saying
like Reggie Miller to Spike Lee.
Yeah, and then we had a surprise birthday party for her the next day, and then we got engaged the day after that. So she was committed. Or she should be committed, one of the two. I'm not sure which one.
So really, do you think that the miscommunication? Your agent overstepped his.
Yeah, that was it. And
He outpunted his coverage.
he did, and without ever asking me about it.
And did they ever come to you and say, "This guy's bananas"?
Yeah, and that's why I told him. I said, "Look, I'll make the final decision. You come to
Then
me
why
with
don't
your
you think
best
they came back
offer."
to you with 225 or something?
I don't know.
What if they came back?
Well, no, they actually wanted to cut me back to 150.
Oh, you left that.
And that
part
was
out.
the other thing. And I told him, I said, don't even come back to me if you're thinking of cutting me after 5 years of working this to make sure the ratings get up to do 2 jobs. Wow. We should be selling
Dorals.
cigarettes. Forget the radio. Let's open a cigarette
you know what?
store.
Let's get a cigarette sponsor for Joe McDonnell Uncensored.
That's
Let's
right.
Do it.
We'll do it right
Dorals-
from there.
Joe McDonnell Uncensored, brought to you by Doral
Yeah,
Cigarettes.
come and see an ass while
Smooth.
you're getting your butt.
Yeah, smooth taste, and it hits my T-zone.
Yeah, there you go.
You remember those old cigarette commercials where
Oh,
they tell you
yeah.
how it really is silky smooth? on my
Lucky
throat?
Strike, LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Yeah.
No, Lucky Strike means you're going to die a terrible fucking death.
A long, slow one.
Yeah.
When I see the homeless people, now that I've sort of rededicated myself to being a part of a parish that is super active with the homeless community, so I can actually, okay, good. I can look a guy in the eye and go, "Hey, man, you should go."
But no, and he's dead too now.
Randy
Jesus
Macho Man
Christ, they're all dead.
Snap into a seatbelt.
Yeah, he snapped into the grave. But I mean, these people are, some of these people you see on the freeway on ramps and off ramps. I like to help them out because, most of them look just beat to shit. And so we'll stop and give them money. But I always tell Elizabeth, look at their shoes. If they're wearing new shoes, don't give them a fucking cent. Because if they can afford new shoes, they don't need to be standing on a street corner. I really believe that.
And smoking? Yeah, because
Well,
how
that's
much are
just a
cigarettes?
personal preference. But
Well, yeah, but if it's 8, how much is a pack of cigarettes? Between $5
Is
and
it
$10.
really?
Yeah, cigarettes.
Jesus
lowest. Like
Christ.
if you're smoking more cigarettes, it's like $5. Over to St. Monica's, and they'll always go like, "Oh, okay," like they're not used to somebody going, "No, this ain't gonna work right here."
Yeah.
If you go to St. Monica's, you got it. So then I don't feel bad gaslighting them.
No, I think, we always talk about, and politicians are especially guilty of it, talking about helping people in other countries. You know what? That's great. I mean, it really is. But we have so many people